You know that feeling when someone's affection is a little too much, even when it's coming from a good place? Well, today we're going to dive into that really delicate balance of emotional connection. We'll explore why the very things that are supposed to bring us closer sometimes do the exact opposite.
Okay, so the word we need to know for this is cloying. You know, like a dessert that's just so sweet, it's actually kind of gross. It's a fantastic word, and it perfectly nails what happens when good emotions just get too intense.
And that leads us to the big question, right? Why is it that intense emotion, the very thing we think builds connections, can sometimes totally backfire and make people pull away?
All right, so let's start unpacking this. The first piece of the puzzle is something we can call the authenticity gap. Basically, it all comes down to whether that big emotional display is built on a real, solid foundation. Here's the core principle, and it's super important. If you're going to have high emotional intensity, you absolutely need high authenticity to back it up. That connection has to feel earned, you know? It has to feel genuine. If that foundation isn't there, the whole thing just feels kind of hollow.
So, look at this. It really breaks it down into two paths. When you have that high intensity and it's matched with real authenticity, boom, you get a strong connection. But when you have that same high intensity, but the authenticity is low, it just fizzles. You know what I mean? It's like when you meet someone new and they immediately start sharing their deepest secrets. It can feel really jarring because you just haven't built that level of trust yet.
Okay, let's talk about another huge reason things can feel off balance. And honestly, this one is probably the most common misunderstanding out there. A simple mismatch in energy.
Man, this quote, it's just so relatable, isn't it? I mean, we've all been there. You want to connect. You want to be fully present for someone, but you're just drained. You just don't have the energy to meet them where they are. And the important thing is, it's not about them. It's about your own capacity in that specific moment. And this right here is the classic misunderstanding, isn't it? Someone comes at you with all this energy and you meet them with low energy, and they immediately think you don't care or you're not interested. But so often it's got nothing to do with them or the relationship. It's just that your social battery is at like 1%. So being aware of that energy mismatch is absolutely key because it helps us navigate our next point, that super fine line between sharing and oversharing. It really is all about learning to read the room, or in this case, read the energy of the conversation.
It's actually pretty simple. Think of it like a little three-step process. Step one, you share something personal. That's great. That's how we connect. But then step two, you just gotta pause and kind of feel out the vibe. Sense the reaction. And if the energy coming back at you isn't quite matching what you're putting out, well, that's step three. That's not a failure. It's just a friendly little sign to maybe pull back a bit. You know, let the conversation breathe.
Okay, so if we know that forcing intensity is a no-go and that mismatched energy is super common, what's the answer? What's the secret ingredient? Well, it's surprisingly simple. And it all boils down to one thing: patience. Yep, the secret ingredient is just time. Sometimes a new friendship or relationship isn't weak, it's just new. And trying to rush it with a ton of intensity is kind of like trying to speed run a great movie. You miss all the good stuff. You gotta let those connections marinate a little. And this right here shows that natural progression perfectly. See, a really deep bond isn't something that just happens overnight. It's a whole process. It starts with that first connection, right? Then you have some gradual sharing, which starts to build trust. And then, after all that, you get that deep bond we're all after. The key is, you just can't skip the steps. I absolutely love this analogy. Trying to force a connection with way too much emotion way too soon, it's exactly like trying to cram too many plants into one little pot. Even if you mean well, you're just going to suffocate them. You're going to stifle their growth. Real, healthy connections, just like plants, they need a little bit of space to really grow strong roots. And this quote just nails the whole idea, doesn't it? Too much honey can make the bee forget how to fly. It's a perfect reminder that even the absolute best things, connection, affection, sweetness, can become a burden if you overdo it. It's all about balance. That's what lets these good things lift us up instead of, weighing us down. So I want to leave you with something to think about. Look at your own life right now. Maybe it's a new friendship, maybe it's a creative project, or even a part of yourself you're trying to figure out. What in your life needs a little less pressure, a little less intensity,
and a little more room to just grow.